Okay everyone, Thursday's video. Things a little bit quiet with Celtic right now as we build ahead to a crucial game against Hibs on Saturday. So I did ask you yesterday if there's anything in particular you want me to touch on, and we got a comment in from Raymond Flanagan asking me to take a look at Scottish football's TV deal. So today we're talking TV. Let's see what we can find out. Today's show has been created in affiliation with NordVPN. A VPN is a virtual private network. It secures your connection, protecting your personal information and online activity, especially on public Wi-Fi. A VPN can also make your phone or laptop appear like it's in another country, making it great for accessing your content while travelling. So if you're heading on holiday anytime soon and want to be able to access your normal streaming options and get involved with NordVPN, our link, which is below, will get you up to 73% off their 2-year plans plus 3 extra months. There's no risk with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee either. The link is nordvpn.com/CelticAM and it's in the description as well. Okay, before we spend most of the video talking about television rights and all that kind of stuff today, I want to do a bit of an update on the UEFA Champions League qualifying situation. I kind of planning this only being 2 or 3 minutes, this segment, but the reality is it will probably be at least double that because there is stuff to get through. The big question here is, will Celtic be seeded for the one and only round that we have to get through to get to the league phase? And it's still very much up in the air. I did see a bit of this stuff online yesterday that we'll touch on, so I think it's on people's minds at the moment, obviously with Celtic already being champions and a number of other leagues in Europe being or coming to their conclusion at the very least. Just a wee reminder, a refresher, that there are 8 danger teams for Celtic in terms of this. These are teams who could play in the playoff round, and if they are in the playoff round, would be ranked higher than us due to their coefficient being higher. And basically the story is that if there's 5 teams higher than us in this round, we'll be unseeded because there's 10 teams in the draw, and obviously the bottom 5 teams are unseeded, and it could be pretty important. Let's just take a look at the graphic then, and as I say, for Celtic to be seeded in the playoff round, we require 4 of these 8 teams not to qualify for that round. The good news, as you can see, is that we already have 2 teams out of the picture. Olympiacos have qualified directly for the Champions League phase due to this season's tournament winners, Inter Milan or Paris Saint-Germain, qualifying twice. Shakhtar Donetsk have also gone. That's because they can no longer win the Ukrainian league, and Dynamo Kiev, who look likely to win it, have a lower coefficient than us. Bodo Glimt will be in the draw as a seeded team so long as they don't win the Europa League. That's looking kind of unlikely. They are 3-1 down from the first leg against Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur. Second leg in Norway is this evening. Were they to come back in that and somehow win the Europa League, which would be one of the most amazing footballing stories of the 21st century, or maybe ever, then that would actually be good news from us because they wouldn't be in that round either, and that would be another one ticked off. Red Bull Salzburg are 4th in Austria. They're 4 points behind Sturm Graz with 3 games to go. They do look quite unlikely to win the league at this stage. I mean, as I say, they're 4 points behind, 3 games to go. But the fact they've got 3 teams above them as well just tells you that it's going to be very difficult for them. So that's good news. Any other Austrian champion has a lower coefficient than us. That's the good news, everyone. The rest of it isn't quite as positive. Crvena Zvezda are already booked in for the second qualifying round as champions of Serbia. Ferencvaros look very likely to win the league in Hungary. Copenhagen are favourites to win the league in Denmark. They've got a big game against Midtjylland this weekend. The winner of that will become pretty large favourites to win the league there. So we're kind of hoping for Michelin there. And Dinamo Zagreb are second in Croatia now, 1 point behind with 3 games to go. So let's just assume that Salzburg don't win the Austrian league. As I say, I think they'd be pretty long shots at this stage, 4th in the league with 3 games to go. We'd then have 3 of these 8 teams crossed out, and we'd only need 1 more of these teams to fail, either by not winning the league. Dinamo Zagreb look like the best bet in regards to that, or even if they do win the league, if one of them was to go out in one of the rounds before we come into the Champions League, and I think there's 2 of them for most of these teams, then that would also do the job for us. So yeah, considering all of that, and I know that's a lot of information, and yes, I'm rabbiting on a bit, but considering all of that, I do still think we have a greater chance of being seeded than not. However, if you were online last night, you may have got a bit of a fright when Football Rankings posted their current projections for the playoff round seedings. And we are in the unseeded bit. Seeded teams: Dinamo Zagreb, Bodo Glimt, Copenhagen, Crvena Zvezda and Ferencvaros. Unseeded teams: Celtic, Basel, Sturm Graz, FCSB, who are Steaua Bucharest, and Krakow of Poland. And yeah, I don't know about you, I'm all for talking Celtic up, and we don't think we'd be like outsiders really in any of those ties. But I don't know if you fancy Bodo Glimt over a couple of legs just to get to the Champions League, do you, when you look at how they're playing, or Red Star. The unseeded teams, I mean, they're not bad teams in there. All of these teams that we're going to play will be champions of their country, which I think is always makes it difficult. But you would surely much rather be a seeded team and potentially have someone like Basel or Sturm Graz than Bodo Glimt or Crvena Zvezda. I still think we're going to be seeded, everyone, but we'll keep revisiting this as we go along. But for now, let's take a look at Raymond's request and talk TV. So what is the current deal that Scottish football has? Well, the Premiership's current deal is with Sky Sports primarily, also Premier Sports. We'll get on to that. And it started this season. This is the first of 5 years of this current deal, so it's got 4 more to go even after this current campaign. It will end with the 2028-2029 season. The current deal allows Sky Sports to show up to 60 Premiership matches per season, but they've fallen well short of that number this campaign. The derby against Rangers on Sunday was just their 45th live match shown from the Premiership. I think they've got 3 more this season. They've got Rangers Aberdeen this weekend, they've got Aberdeen against Celtic next midweek, and they've got Trophy Day at Celtic Park when we play St Mirren. So that will take them up to a total of 48 matches, but they're allowed to show up to 60. So that's a pretty low figure, to be honest. By the way, that Sky Sports part of the deal said to be worth £30 million per season, but again, we'll get on to the monetary stuff. You may have noticed probably that there's also been Scottish Premiership matches shown on another broadcaster this season. That's Premier Sports. This is like a new agreement that's come in that I think basically allows Premier Sports to buy additional matches that are not being shown live on Sky, and they, I think, have agreed to show 20 games live per season over the 5 years of this deal. So they've shown 20 live Premiership games this season, Premier Sports, and will continue to do so every season as we go forward. This part of the deal isn't worth nearly as much. It's a total of £10 million over 5 years, so if we call it £2 million per season, that brings the total TV value of live matches from Sky Sports and Premier up to around about £32 million per season. Now, just for the record, of our 38 league games this season, 23 of them have been shown or will be shown by the end of the season on Sky Sports. That's 6 games at Celtic Park, which is the maximum they can show, and 17 away from home. We play 19 games away from home over the course of a league season, so Sky have shown 17 of them. The other 2 that Sky didn't show, which were our 6-0 win at St Johnstone near the start of the season and our 2-1 loss at Hibernian not so long ago, were both shown live by Premier Sports. In addition to this, Celtic are able to show up to 4 home games live on pay-per-view. I think the deal here is that you're not allowed to show them if they've been chosen by Sky or Premier, or if they're happening on a Saturday at 3 p.m. So we took all 4 of these games during the winter period. I think most of them were midweek matches. And between the stuff shown on Sky Sports, Premier Sports and Celtic's pay-per-view, that just leaves 9 of our 38 games that weren't shown live at all this season. Every other game, if you were in Scotland or anywhere else on the planet and you had a wee bit of money, not too much, you could watch the other 29 games live. So it's quite a high number. And I guess the question people would be having is that with so many of these matches now live as part of our new TV deal, are we getting bang for our buck? And I've tried to look up the monetary value of the TV deals for comparable countries and leagues around Europe. I'm not looking at any of the top 5 leagues because they're in a different stratosphere to Scottish football. But I think there are a number of countries that you'll be thinking of in your head that Scotland should definitely be able to compete with. And without spoiling what I'm going to show you, we're not competing with all of them, I think it's fair to say. I should say that I couldn't find all of the leagues for this. Information is quite difficult to come by online for some of them. Some of it's outdated as well. Some of these figures also include lower leagues and even women's football that's bundled into the same deal. But it does give you an idea of where we're at with comparable leagues. So yeah, Turkey absolutely flying. They get around £136 million per season, which is the biggest TV deal in Europe outside the top 5 leagues. Eredivisie getting £115 million per season. Across the border in Belgium, their Pro League making £70 million per season from TV. In Scandinavia, the Eliteserien in Norway, I butchered that name, but anyway, £64 million per season. That does include their fast-growing women's league as well. The Danish Superliga, £52 million per season. Austrian Bundesliga, £34 million per season. And real similarities to Scotland, I would say, there being just across the border from such a huge league in Germany and maybe a little bit of an afterthought. Scottish Premiership, as I say, around about £32 million per season, and the Swedish Allsvenskan, £30 million per season from what I could see. But they are said to have secured an improved deal. Figures not available for that though. So I think it's fair to say out of those 8 top flights, including the Scottish Premiership, that these days with Sweden getting an improved deal, we are probably bottom of the pile there. And should we really be? When you look at countries, I mean, good football in countries like Norway and Sweden, Belgium, good competitive leagues as well, and clearly got a lot going for them in certain ways. But should Scottish football be so far behind, given that we have, without doubt, one of the biggest derbies in world football that we show 4 times a season, one of the kind of oldest, most traditional leagues, I guess, with such a big buy-in from supporters. That fact that Neil Doncaster always likes to trot out about Scottish football having the highest attendance per capita of any football league, I think, in the world, which is pretty amazing. It shows that we're totally obsessed with football in Scotland, but we are. And you probably don't realise that. Well, I don't realise that personally until I come to a country like Australia where there's so many other things happening. In Scotland, it's kind of football and nothing else, really. So we do have a lot going for us, but for whatever reason, we can't get that shown in the amount of money we're making from our TV deal. I guess a big part of this is the kind of, I guess, unique circumstances in Scotland. The fact that our main broadcaster, Sky Sports, is a UK-wide company who are clearly more focused on the English Premier League. And to be honest, even the English Football League, But that's not to say that there's not things we can do better. One thing I did notice here, looking at the Eredivisie's TV deal, is that they allow 136 matches per season to be shown live. Now, Scottish football, while they can show up to 80 Premiership matches between Sky Sports and Premier Sports, we've only had 68 shown this season. Now, that's clearly, well, it's exactly half of the Eredivisie's number. And I guess the argument would go that if you can show more live games per season, you'll make more money. I guess Scottish football's always in some sort of conflict between like the TV companies and the match-going fan. You get, a lot of complaints about kick-off times and stuff like that. But in terms of Scottish football, to make more money, we're probably going to have to sell more matches going forward, and you're potentially going to have to get to the stage where you get rid of this, I think, maximum of 5 times you can visit each stadium per season, which to me has always seemed like a bit of a nonsense. I think the Saturday 3 p.m. blackout is going to go at some stage as well. Clearly showing more matches would help. There's always this talk of like an SPFL TV. Could we ditch Sky, ditch Premier Sports and go it alone, create some sort of in-house media company that produces all of these programmes and shows these games live and offer it to fans around the world on a monthly fee. There's a number of different leagues and sports and nations that do this. I watch a lot of the basketball here, and they've got like their own NBA TV set up where you just pay a monthly amount to the NBA and they show all the different matches, and you can just go on, and if there's loads of different matches going on, you can choose which one you want to watch. Obviously, I'm not really comparing the NBA and the reach that has to the Scottish Premiership, but I would love to see the clubs give something like that a go, because I do believe that you could make more money from that than you do from the current Sky deal. I think the reality is that it's too much of a risk though for a lot of Scottish clubs, and they're probably more than happy just to have the guaranteed money coming in from Sky every year and not have the hassle of having to go it alone and take more responsibility there. We remember how things went a number of years ago now when the Setanta deal collapsed, and the real problems and the worries it gave to most of Scottish football. So I think they're probably a bit conservative with all of this nowadays. But there's no doubt in my mind when you look at those figures and the amounts that leagues like Denmark and Sweden and Belgium are making, there's no doubt for me that we have undersold our rights at this stage. Just focusing in on Celtic then, and no surprise probably to you that Scottish TV money is a fraction of what Celtic make every year. I think we make something like £3.5 million for winning the Scottish Premiership every season. And as I covered in a video in February, the Champions League was worth around £37 million to us this season, and that's before you get to any ticket sales. So 4 more years of Sky Sports to come for Scottish football, and I think the worrying thing about these figures are they look bad now. How are they going to look in another 4 years when these countries around us get better deals going forward and we're kind of stuck where we are? In terms of Celtic, I think the solution for me is simple, and you're probably absolutely sick fed up of me labouring this point, but just hope for more European football. European football is where the prestige is, it's where the money is, it's where the excitement is. And yeah, more European games are a good thing for Celtic from so many different aspects. And like in Scottish football, we are huge fish in a pretty small pond. I think when we go to the European stage and play more matches at that level, even in the Europa League, but certainly in the Champions League, then I think that's where Celtic can really be a leading European club, to be honest. If we were playing in some sort of a European league, or if we were playing the majority of our matches in the Champions League in some futuristic world, then Celtic would undoubtedly be a top 15 club in Europe in terms of everything you would look at. In Scottish football, it's quite different. I'm not sure I see some sort of massive financial resurgence for Scottish football going forward. Feels to me like that ship has sailed a little bit, and I think Celtic's best hope here is to have more top level European matches per season. I think the good news is that that's the way things are heading. As I keep saying, the next UEFA cycle, I think 2027, I reckon they're going to push for more matches. Celtic are going to be a fan of that. I don't necessarily ever want Celtic to leave Scottish football because I enjoy winning the league, but maybe a Scottish league that doesn't take up as much of our season, maybe 30 games, something like that. Get rid of the League Cup, play the Scottish Cup, and have some sort of a European season where you potentially get 20 matches per season. That's the utopia for me. I guess we'll see if we ever get there. So yeah, Raymond, I guess you asked about TV deals and I ended up talking about some sort of European Super League or enhanced Champions League. Yeah, I really need to avoid that in future. Thanks everyone.